The Great Anonymous. Who was the real William Shakespeare? Each person must play many roles in their lifetime, perfectly embodying different characters. But can you determine who you truly are in the eyes of the world? Even the author of that famous saying, the genius William Shakespeare, is no exception. Through his legendary literary works such as Hamlet, Romeo and Juliet, and Macbeth, he has conquered all of humanity, but that is merely a stage name. The true identity of Shakespeare remains a great enigma in history. Who is the person behind those verses that touch the hearts of people? Shakespeare's life, with its mysterious missing years and the scarce documentation about him, has woven a web of strange theories. Let us piece together the missing fragments of his life and explore the profound mysteries that no one has dared to confirm in today's video. Who truly is the great William Shakespeare? When it comes to the greatest writers in the world, who do you think of first? J.K. Rowling with the masterpiece Harry Potter, Victor Hugo with Les Miserables, or Mark Twain with The Adventures of Tom Sawyer? And it would be a grave omission if we did not mention William Shakespeare. Just like his works, Shakespeare's life also had its highs and lows. This remarkable writer was born into a middle-class family in Stratford-upon-Avon in 1564. He was the third child in a family of 8. His father, John Shakespeare, was a prominent merchant in the town, dealing in various goods such as wool, leather, and gloves. John also held several important positions in the town council, even serving as mayor at certain times. This meant that Shakespeare was born and raised in a relatively well-off family. Additionally, his mother, Mary Arden, came from a long-standing aristocratic family. As a result, Shakespeare carried within him the blood of the nobility, which may have helped him envision society and the relationships between people. It must be affirmed that this writer had a favorable starting point, providing him with an objective perspective on life and the various classes of people. Thanks to his family's financial situation, William Shakespeare was able to attend a prestigious school, King's New School. This was a place reserved for the children of the middle and upper classes. At school, he studied Latin and many classic literary works from Rome and Greece, such as Ovid, Virgil, and Seneca. Furthermore, complex linguistic syntax and various forms of rhetorical literature were also taught at King's New School, giving Shakespeare a solid educational foundation. Around 1577, the Shakespeare family began to face financial difficulties, possibly due to setbacks in his father's business. This caused the family to lose some of its social standing and influence in the town. However, this also gave Shakespeare a deeper understanding of different social classes and statuses. In 1582, when Shakespeare was 18 years old, he married Anne Hathaway, a woman 8 years his senior, who lived in the nearby village of Shottery. Starting a family and becoming a father at such a young age forced Shakespeare to mature early, and it was likely a driving force for him to seek stable employment. He decided to leave his hometown for London to establish a career and develop further. This can be considered a significant turning point, marking a change in William Shakespeare's life. However, surprisingly, from 1585 to 1592, no historical records mention him. These are referred to as the lost years, giving rise to a series of different theories about Shakespeare's work and life. What did he do in London during that time? One of the most credible theories is that Shakespeare may have worked as a teacher at a private school. With a strong educational background, proficiency in Latin and other languages, and knowledge of literature, this possibility is worth considering. Some argue that this teaching job not only provided a stable income, but also allowed Shakespeare to support his family while honing additional knowledge and skills. On the other hand, some suggest that Shakespeare joined a traveling theater troupe. He and the troupe members traveled from one town to another, performing for the public. If this is true, it became an opportunity for him to learn about acting, staging, and even writing. During this period, Shakespeare may have observed and studied audience preferences and regional differences. As a result, He greatly improved his use of language to suit the audience, and his performances to feel familiar to the people. There is no concrete evidence to show exactly what William Shakespeare did during the period from 1585 to 1592. However, looking at what he achieved later, many experts believe this was the time when Shakespeare prepared to perfect himself. He researched and developed his writing experience. Rather than doing some other job, it is likely that Shakespeare spent most of his time studying famous literary works and learning how to write plays. Not stopping there, to gain a more accurate and objective perspective, he may have undertaken numerous trips across Europe, such as to France and Italy. Shakespeare not only observed the lives of the people, but also memorized details of architecture, settings, customs, and the cultures and peoples of different countries. This provided him with valuable material for his creative work. Although all the theories above have reasonable elements, to this day, we still have no concrete evidence about William Shakespeare's lost years, or perhaps it is precisely this lack of evidence that has made his life more mysterious and fascinating. It seems to be a low note, a brief silence, a preparation for an explosive period in Shakespeare's future. Near the end of a day around 1590, the Lord Chamberlain's Men, one of the most famous theatre companies in London, welcomed a new member, and that person was none other than William Shakespeare. By joining this troupe, he was able to perform at public theatres. According to historians, this renowned theatre company became a springboard for Shakespeare's later fame. In the early days, he mainly participated in comedies and historical plays, such as A Midsummer Night's Dream, and the series of plays about King Henry VI. These artistic works helped him attract audiences, thanks to a blend of humor, captivating storytelling, and realistic character portrayals. Moreover, they demonstrated Shakespeare's creative ability and diverse writing style, quickly making him one of the most beloved playwrights in London. In 1599, Shakespeare, along with members of the Lord Chamberlain's Men, built the Globe Theatre on the south bank of the River Thames in London. This structure was a significant milestone in Shakespeare's career, as it provided him not only with a performance stage, but also with a fresh and expansive creative space. He became one of the co-owners of the theater. This gave him a stable income and creative freedom. With the Globe, Shakespeare had the opportunity to stage famous works such as Hamlet, Othello, Macbeth, and King Lear. These very works elevated his reputation to its peak, turning Shakespeare into a legendary playwright with the ability to deeply portray human psychology. Through his works, Shakespeare made immense contributions to the development of theatrical art, particularly the art of acting. Before his time, plays often focused on events and plot lines, but Shakespeare shifted the focus to exploring the psychology of characters. This required actors to have the skill to express the inner world of characters deeply, laying the foundation for modern acting. Thanks to him, the art of acting became more multidimensional and richer, paving the way for actors to explore character depth. His works also inspired many directors and playwrights from his time to the present day. Additionally, William Shakespeare played a significant role in enriching the English language. He created approximately 1,700 new words and many phrases that are still widely used today. Beyond vocabulary, Shakespeare also transformed sentence structures and literary styles in English, introducing numerous metaphors, rhetorical devices, and creative expressions. This not only enriched the English language, but also made it a powerful tool for conveying complex emotions. Shakespeare's influence extends beyond academia to popular culture. His works have been adapted into numerous films, books, and other artistic products. Surely, we are all familiar with cinematic masterpieces such as Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, and Macbeth. Furthermore, Shakespeare's plays have become a source of inspiration for many later literary and artistic works. His characters, plots, and style have been copied, adapted, and reimagined in hundreds of literary works, proving that he is one of the most enduringly influential authors in world literature. Shakespeare left behind a monumental legacy with 39 plays, 154 sonnets, and many other poetic works. They are timeless, fitting various cultural contexts, from classical theater to cinematic films or television. In summary, William Shakespeare is not just a playwright, but also a cultural icon with profound influence. His works have explored the depths of human psychology and experience, inspiring generations. After achieving fame in London's theatre scene, William Shakespeare continued to develop his playwriting career and made significant contributions to the art of the Elizabethan and Jacobean eras. When King James I ascended the throne, his theatre company was renamed the King's Men and continued to operate under royal patronage. Thanks to this, Shakespeare became increasingly famous, with the means to focus on writing and primarily performing at the palace during royal events. In the early 17th century, this outstanding writer returned to his hometown of Stratford. He and his family spent more time resting after years of arduous artistic activity. Shakespeare passed away on April 23, 1616, in Stratford, and was buried in Holy Trinity Church. Ultimately, the life of a great figure in world literature ended in this way. But more than 200 years after William Shakespeare's death, a major issue related to him sparked heated debates. Many people questioned whether the renowned works such as Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, or Macbeth were truly written by Shakespeare himself. Scholars, writers, and literary researchers began raising questions about this matter in the early 19th century. Many scholars started comparing Shakespeare's life circumstances with his famous works. Most of them exhibit depth and complexity in psychology and society, suggesting that the author must have had extensive education, knowledge of politics, history, and culture. Although Shakespeare attended a school for the middle class, it was only a village school. It is hard to believe that a small school in Stratford could teach such extensive knowledge or complex social issues. At this point, the story seems quite absurd. After all, to this day, works like Romeo and Juliet or Hamlet are still recognized as Shakespeare's. But this is indeed a real theory. There have even been other famous writers who voiced their support. One of them is none other than Charles Dickens, the leading English novelist of the 19th century, who expressed doubts about Shakespeare's ability to create plays with such philosophical depth and outstanding humanism. Dickens once stated that Shakespeare's background and education were notable but insufficient to enable him to acquire the rich understanding of the aristocracy, philosophy, and human psychology reflected in his works. These works demonstrate extensive knowledge of society, law, and culture, which someone without a deep academic background or high-level experiences would struggle to grasp fully. He doubted that a man from Stratford-upon-Avon, with a modest educational background, could master these fields enough to write plays as profound as Hamlet or King Lear. Besides Charles Dickens, another renowned writer who openly expressed his skepticism was Mark Twain, the author of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. He did not hesitate to share his views on Shakespeare's true talent. Twain argued that there was a contradiction between Shakespeare's life and his celebrated works. Twain emphasized that there are no documents showing Shakespeare writing, composing, or exchanging letters about his plays. Furthermore, he suggested that there are some stylistic differences in the plays, which could imply that multiple authors collaborated on writing and editing, rather than Shakespeare alone. Twain even proposed the idea that Shakespeare's plays might have been written by one or more anonymous authors, and the name Shakespeare was merely a pseudonym. However, like Charles Dickens, he provided no concrete evidence, relying mainly on analysis and personal speculation. As a result, a wave of curiosity about William Shakespeare's true identity emerged, leading to numerous analyses and studies. Who is the true author of masterpieces like Hamlet and Macbeth? One of the prominent candidates for this role is Francis Bacon. Bacon was a philosopher, scientist, statesman, and also a renowned English writer. He is considered one of the founders of modern empiricism and played a significant role in the development of experimental science. From a young age, Bacon demonstrated exceptional intelligence and was educated at prestigious schools. He studied at Cambridge and later pursued law at Gray's Inn, one of the most prestigious law schools in England at the time. Bacon began his political career at a very young age. He held several important positions in the government, such as Attorney General, and later Lord Chancellor during the reign of King James I. Alongside this, he is also known as the father of empiricism, a methodology asserting that all knowledge stems from experience and experimentation, rather than theoretical reasoning. For easier recall, it is often referred to as the Baconian method, and it laid the foundation for modern science, serving as a precursor to the widely applied experimental scientific method that followed. Francis Bacon's ideas had a profound influence on the development of science and philosophy. He paved the way for the scientific revolution in 17th century Europe, as researchers such as Isaac Newton, Galileo Galilei, and René Descartes applied the experimental scientific method to their work. Additionally, Bacon wrote many influential works on philosophy, politics, and science, with the most notable being Novum Organum and New Atlantis. Francis Bacon left behind a tremendous legacy, impacting many areas of life. His ideas and methods transformed the way humans explore and study the world, laying the groundwork for modern scientific methods. Yet Bacon's contributions remain valuable to this day, and he is remembered as one of the greatest intellectuals in human history. The question arises, does a genius like Francis Bacon have any connection to William Shakespeare? In the 19th century, Shakespeare's works were immensely popular and widely embraced by the public. At the same time, skepticism about the author's background and education grew. People argued that only someone with profound erudition, like Francis Bacon, could have written works containing such complex knowledge and ideas. From this, the Baconian theory was born and received significant support. There are many reasons why this theory seems convincing. First, Bacon was a renowned scientist, philosopher, and lawyer with extensive knowledge of philosophy, politics, science, and literature. This aligns with the themes in Shakespeare's works, which contain numerous philosophical ideas, legal knowledge, and insights into royalty. Supporters of the Baconian theory believe he had a deep understanding of the aristocracy, law, and politics, fields that play a significant role in Shakespeare's works. Additionally, many scholars have noted that some works demonstrate a profound understanding of Renaissance philosophical ideas, including empiricism, of which Bacon was a pioneer. These works often discuss the nature of humanity, life, and death, while containing numerous philosophical metaphors. These elements align more closely with Bacon's ideas than with Shakespeare's. Furthermore, some scholars and experts have even discovered codes and ciphers that Bacon allegedly hid within Shakespeare's works. They have attempted to find these signs in the plays and poems. Delia Bacon, one of the pioneers in analyzing these codes and ciphers, believed that the true author was Bacon. Her doubts began around 1840. She was influenced by the contemporary mindset, as society at the time started questioning and reevaluating traditional beliefs. To Delia, the idea that someone with a limited background and education, like Shakespeare, could write such complex and erudite works was hard to believe. Shakespeare, an actor and theater worker, having the ability to create works demonstrating extensive knowledge of philosophy, law, history, and politics seemed unimaginable. She always believed there were codes and secret messages hidden within William Shakespeare's works, used to conceal the true identity of the author. To prove this, Delia spent many years analyzing, and she indeed achieved results. Delia Bacon paid particular attention to the linguistic structure, repetition, and wordplay in Shakespeare's plays, as it was possible that strange linguistic patterns, complex metaphors, or unusual repetition in dialogue were the keys to decoding. This American writer believed that Francis Bacon might have used a cipher system, now commonly referred to as the Baconian cipher, to hide messages. This is a binary cipher in which each character is encoded as a sequence of letters, A and B, or similar symbols. Some early printed editions of Shakespeare's works used various fonts and styles, such as bold, italic, or even deliberate misspellings, in plays like Hamlet and The Tempest. Some researchers have experimented with the Baconian cipher by searching for anomalies in language and presentation, with the famous soliloquy, "to be or not to be" being a prime example. Some experts have claimed to find messages from Bacon. In 1857, Delia Bacon published the book, The Philosophy of the Plays of Shakespeare. This work was a painstaking effort to prove her theory. In the book, Delia analyzed Shakespeare's works in detail, pointing out what she believed to be evidence of hidden philosophical, political, and social messages. She argued that Shakespeare's plays contain numerous metaphors and imagery reflecting the ideas of Francis Bacon and other contemporary philosophers. The book attracted the attention of many scholars, though it was not widely recognized. However, her work sparked a wave of debate about the authenticity of Shakespeare's authorship, prompting the public and scholars to delve deeper into the question of the work's authorship. Initially, Delia Bacon's theory was not accepted by many contemporary scholars. Most 19th-century academics considered her claims to be baseless speculation. However, some influential writers and intellectuals of the time, including Ralph Waldo Emerson and Nathaniel Hawthorne, expressed their support. Nevertheless, Delia Bacon's theory laid the groundwork for many later theories about the true author of Shakespeare's works. Although modern scholars largely still recognize Shakespeare as the sole author, Delia Bacon's theory expanded awareness and raised questions about authorship and authenticity. The debates continue to rage to this day regarding the authorship of literary masterpieces such as Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet. Why has this issue not yet been resolved? Is there a way for us to find a definitive answer? In fact, it is entirely possible to confirm whether William Shakespeare is the author by analyzing the original manuscripts of those plays. Finding Shakespeare's original manuscripts would provide deep insights into his creative process, as well as his writing and editing style. We could find signatures, personal marks, and further confirm his identity as the author of those works. If this were accomplished, the debates would end. For this reason, a search for the original manuscripts of Shakespeare's renowned works was organized. The British Library and the Library of Congress in the United States, repositories of many valuable documents, became the first locations for these exploratory efforts. However, despite reviewing thousands of documents, no manuscripts by Shakespeare were found. Many researchers have also searched in ancient libraries and archives in England, particularly in areas related to Shakespeare, such as Stratford-upon-Avon, where he was born and died. Documents belonging to his family and contemporaries have been examined, but no direct evidence related to him has been found. During the Elizabethan and Jacobean eras, theaters and printing houses were the places where manuscripts of theatrical works were typically stored. However, even the Globe Theatre, where Shakespeare's works were performed, did not retain any original manuscripts. It was not until 1623, 7 years after Shakespeare's death, that John Hemings and Henry Condell compiled and published the First Folio, a collection of 36 of his plays. This is considered the most important source of information about Shakespeare's works and the closest thing we have to his original manuscripts. It consists of printed copies based on drafts used during rehearsals and performances. This means the First Folio may have been edited and adjusted, but it remains one of the most crucial documents for scholars to study Shakespeare's original style and content. But how did the original manuscripts disappear? A popular theory is that Shakespeare's original manuscripts may have been destroyed or lost during the transfer from one hand to another. This could have happened during turbulent periods in England, such as the English Civil War or political and religious upheavals of the time. The search for William Shakespeare's original manuscripts has spanned centuries, and to this day, has yielded no results. The failure to find his original manuscripts has added further mystery to Shakespeare's life and career. But it is absurd to think that the masterpieces of such a great writer cannot be found. Have scientists overlooked something in this process? And I firmly believe there is one place we have yet to search, and that is William Shakespeare's tomb. Today, his grave lies in Holy Trinity Church in Stratford-upon-Avon, where he was born and died, buried in a prestigious position near the altar. It is considered one of the most important monuments for researchers and literary enthusiasts. It is also the resting place of his wife, daughter, and son-in-law, the illustrious English writer. Oddly enough, there is a particular warning inscribed on the tombstone. For God's sake, prevent those who would dig here. God will bless those who stay away from this tomb and curse those who dare to touch my bones. It seems to be a curse to protect Shakespeare's remains, and it may also be the reason why no scholar has dared to excavate and search for the original manuscripts at this site. Even when the tomb was repaired in 2008, the workers did not dare to move even the stones, let alone touch Shakespeare's bones. However, despite the discussions about this ominous inscription, in 2016, a team of archaeologists used ground-penetrating radar to survey the tomb. The result was that Shakespeare's skull was missing. This sparked numerous controversies. Some argued that the remains should be excavated to verify the truth about Shakespeare's skull, but the majority opposed this, believing it could break the curse on the tombstone. Cultural preservationists and the church believe that respecting Shakespeare's legacy and wishes is more important than investigating his skull. But let's think in a more mysterious and conspiratorial way for a moment. We are searching for answers about the true author of the works associated with William Shakespeare. The original manuscripts have vanished without a trace, and even this man's skull has disappeared. It is not hard to imagine a scenario where someone does not want us to uncover Shakespeare's true identity. So, in the end, who is William Shakespeare? Who created masterpieces like Romeo and Juliet or Hamlet? That question has become one of the most debated mysteries in literary history. There are still too many things we cannot unravel. During the lost years, what did Shakespeare do, and where was he? Personally, I believe this period is the origin of the mysteries we are still trying to solve today. Furthermore, in the social context of that era, the upper class often wrote anonymously or used pseudonyms to create works. If we connect this to the details mentioned above, it is possible that the name William Shakespeare was a pseudonym someone used to write literature and plays. Coincidentally, a prominent man in the Lord Chamberlain's Men Theatre Company bore the same name. It is possible there was a mix-up here, and gradually we came to believe that the man from Stratford-upon-Avon was a great figure in world literary history. Additionally, the fact that scholars and famous writers like Mark Twain expressed doubts about Shakespeare shows that not everyone trusts tradition, and this makes the story of Shakespeare even richer. Nevertheless, these conspiracy theories reflect an important human tendency. We tend to mystify geniuses who transcend their time. The skepticism arises from our difficulty in believing that someone of ordinary background could write works so monumental and profound. This is both a praise of Shakespeare's talent and a reflection of our biases about background and innate genius. As Shakespeare once wrote in Macbeth, "What's done is done." Yet the mysteries surrounding his life, especially the true identity of this great man, remain a big question without an answer. Perhaps Shakespeare was indeed the true author, or perhaps some mysterious hand contributed to creating those masterpieces. But this does not diminish their value or influence. The doubts and debates not only enrich Shakespeare's legacy, but also make him a symbol, not just of literature, but also of captivating mysteries. It is precisely these unanswered questions that keep Shakespeare alive, not only through his works, but also in the endless discussions about his life and identity. And finally, who truly is William Shakespeare?